right, we are talking to Wayne Madsen. We're going to go back to him in just a moment and some of your phone calls as well. Lewis in Texas, Patty in New York, Trina in Colorado, and others. I want to tell you about a few of the sponsors that have made today's radio show possible. First, though, one of them is New Silver Solution, and I really believe in this. We use this in my household. We've used colloidal silver for a long time, but they've really, as it's gotten more popular, developed even better types of it. And this is nanoparticulate, and that's what makes silver so powerful. Is it's so small it destroys viruses and bacteria, goes right through their cell walls. It was the old-fashioned antibiotic. And now that all the modern ones aren't working too well or aren't working at all, it's making a big comeback. And a great brand is supernaturalsilver.com. Supernaturalsilver.com. You've been down to the third world? Take a few swigs of this to knock those parasites out. You got a cold and it's bacterial? This stuff's great. Or you can use a neti pot if you've got a bacterial or viral infection up in your sinus. I've had medical doctors on who have recommended this on air. Supernaturalsilver.com. Supernaturalsilver.com. Or you can also visit the web link at Infowars.com. Really do believe in this product, and this is one of the best technologies out there with the basic silver technology. Another sponsor is eFoodsDirect.com. This is the name in storable foods, 28 years now in operation. This is where I chose to get my storable foods. Lasts more than 10 years in climate control. 10 years if it's out in the heat in your garage or attic. High quality, non-GMO, non-hybrid. Get a free brochure by calling 800-409-5633. Get prepared. Get self-sufficient. Don't be completely dependent on the man as we go into this depression. I hope you don't have to use the food, but there's a good chance you will. So get it today. Don't wait. 800-409-5633. 800-409-5633 or eFoodsDirect.com. And don't forget, I got to put one plug in a day that we have an online video and bookstore. It's a bookstore and video store online at Infowars.com. And it takes a lot of money to run the websites, the news sites, the websites, and all the work we do here. And PrisonPlanet.tv members that get to see the live TV show version of the radio show and all my films in high quality and my book and Paul Watson's book and all the other things we're adding and Burma's Live 9 to midnight. That's all available at PrisonPlanet.tv for 15 cents a day as well, or order high quality DVDs, books, T-shirts. It's all about spreading the word. Infowars.com or call toll free 888-253-3139. And don't forget to support our guests who are doing great work like Wayne Madsen with WayneMadsenReport.com. Be sure and check that site out. Okay, Wayne, I want to throw out a few quick questions to you and then get to calls. I've been throwing questions out. My question is, what do you think's most important right now? I want to get some into Obama, but where do you see coming up on the horizon? What do you see happening in Pakistan, Afghanistan? What do you see happening domestically? What do you see happening with staged terror or any other points you think are important?
Well, I'll tell you on the Pakistan-Afghanistan situation, it just isn't helping our cause much that we are using these remotely piloted drones to fire these missiles at wedding parties and into people's homes. There are constantly demonstrations in Afghanistan and also in Pakistan every time civilians are killed. So, Obama could give 50 Cairo speeches, and in those particular areas of the Muslim world, it's going to have very little effect because they say, oh, yeah, well, I heard the speech, this outreach, but, the missiles are still falling. They're still killing innocent civilians. And I think the problem Obama has is he's got a lot of retreads from the Clinton administration. Richard Holbrooke was the architect. He was the architect of this devastating war in the Balkans. Yeah, and now we've got how many countries that compose the former Yugoslavia? About 8. I mean, some of them are fighting each other, and there's even indications there could be more fracturing.
But isn't that the plan? Balkanize Pakistan, balkanize Iraq, balkanize Syria, balkanize Saudi Arabia, balkanize Serbia. Any sovereign nation can't be allowed to build up outside this global corporate state.
Well, I think you've got a good point there, because look at what we saw after the collapse of the Soviet Union and the Eastern Bloc was this balkanization. If Pakistan should be balkanized, we're talking about about 5 or 6 different countries arising out of the former Pakistan, but only one, the Punjabi region, having the bomb. So it would be not the Pakistani nuclear weapon, it would be the Punjabi nuclear weapon. And that's just a recipe for a disaster when you're dealing with a neighboring country, India, which also has a lot of restive regions. And
there's going to be constant wars between those 5 parts until some warlord unifies it. Perfect for the globalists to have some new region to always pump their weapon systems into.
Absolutely. And, and Holbrooke, of course, is the super envoy of Hillary Clinton now over to Afghanistan and Pakistan. He's also taken charge. Maybe a good thing, he has taken charge of Iran, the Iran situation from Dennis Ross, who is very much in bed with Likud, and they want to bomb, of course. They're back to the Stone Age. So in the case of Iran, Holbrooke is actually the moderate, believe it or not. But it's still these people are all these Council on Foreign Relations, this AIPAC crowd, America Israel Public Affairs Committee, the Washington Institute for Near East Policy, all these various think tanks that basically are conducting their U.S. foreign policy is being conducted basically as a franchise to special interest groups, and I think that's one of the things that Obama is going to have to face here with him getting tough recently on Israeli settlements and Israel's policy against Iran. He told him he doesn't want them to attack Iran, and he wants them to halt the settlements, but Netanyahu is saying flat out no, and it's resulting in probably the worst U.S.-Israeli relations since the Suez invasion of 1956, when basically Eisenhower broke completely with the Israelis over their invasion of Egypt.
You think that's a real break because Obama was financed in large part by the Israeli lobby?
You know, and I look at Rahm Emanuel as his chief of staff and others, and I have to wonder how far can he go with having these. I mean, Emanuel during Desert Storm was serving in the Israeli army. I mean, when all of our guys, men and women, were fighting, over in Kuwait and Saudi Arabia and in Iraq, here we have Emanuel serving in another country's armed forces. So, how much leeway does Obama have? I wish I had my ear inside the West Wing, but I do know that Emanuel is probably one of the strongest chiefs of staff in recent memory, and in one case, he was cracking his knuckles at this cabinet meeting, and Obama said, "Rahm, I find that annoying. I wish you'd stop." He gets up and cracks his knuckles right in Obama's ear, and everybody laughs, and I think that was Emanuel's way to tell the visiting members of Congress and members of the cabinet, hey, I'm in charge here. And
Wayne, I have to say that everything with Obama is betrayal. He'll say he's going to do the right thing, and then he always goes back on it later or puts it into some debate process, while continuing with the older bad policy. So I think there's going to be a staged terror attack or something's going to happen so Obama can say, well, see, I tried to fix things, but now I've got to go in there. There's no way that the IDF Mossad agent, Emanuel, and all that money he got from Israel, there's no way they're not going to continue. But side issue, what are you hearing in Washington? Because I know you're right inside those intelligence meetings, covering them and for the press. The word is that Israel may go it alone and attack Iran. Would they do that without U.S. backing, or where do you see it?
Well, I don't think they logistically could. They'd have to fly over first Jordanian airspace, but then they'd have to go over Iraqi airspace, and we control Iraqi airspace, so it would have to be done with our connivance. Otherwise, they'd have to fly over Saudi airspace. Now, they could potentially get that permission because one of the little-known things about the Middle East is that Saudi Arabia
hate the Iranians, yeah.
Yeah, they're really on the same page when it comes to the Iranians, and there has been a lot of low-level intelligence cooperation between Saudi Arabia and Israel on Iran, and also with the situation with Hamas and Hezbollah in Lebanon. It's very little known, but it has been going on for a number of years. So. Would they? Certainly, they may like to. The only way they could actually avoid the airspace and hit Iran would be to use their submarines, Israeli submarines, and they have at least one, if not two, in the Persian Gulf at any given time with nuclear-tipped cruise missiles that could hit.
That's right.